folks, Wren here, and today we're going to do my Adventurerathon TBR. So if you haven't heard of Adventurerathon, it is a readathon happening in June, hosted by the lovely Kirsty from K-Beth Bookish. I will leave all of the announcement videos and the recommendation video down below, so go check it out. Come pick an adventurer to be and go on your adventure. But it is a readathon where you get to choose a hero path, if you will. You create a character, you go on your little path to have this adventure, and there's a final quest at the end to fulfill, and it's such a fun time. I've had so much fun filling in these prompts and creating my character, and literally the very last minute I decided to add a second character. So I know Meredith from Reading with Merb decided to create two characters, and she actually made it that like they're a couple, and I was like, idea. So yeah, at the last minute I decided to add a second character, and my two characters are in a relationship, and I love that. So does Chopper. So the two paths that I'm going to be doing are Hunter and Merchant. But before we get into all of that, I will go through my characters. So for my Hunter character, we have Kellen of Brayhill Clan. The Brayhill Clan is a mighty and skilled clan of hunters. They are one of the oldest clans in the realm, and they are highly skilled hunters. They can hunt anything, and they will see that their job is done. It is a bit of a legacy to be a part of this clan. Only the best are accepted into this hunter's clan. Now, Kellen is one of the higher-ups of this clan. He is favoured by the clan leader, and because of this, he has been tasked with one of the hardest hunts that have ever crossed the hunter's path, and that is to hunt a god. So Kellen has been on this journey for 2 years now, trying to find the particular god that he is after. And that god is a kitsune, which is a Japanese fox god. They're a trickster god, so it has been really difficult for Kellen to hunt down this god, but he's finally there. He's finally found the kitsune, and it's in a stable enough situation that he knows that he can get it. He will get this kitsune. Unfortunately, he doesn't know what consequences will come from killing a god, but more on that if Adventurerathon has a round 2. But during those 2 years of travels, he found Ender. So Ender is an elf that was kicked out of their healers guild because they were experimenting with deeper healer magic and harder healer magic. The healer magic that is banned by most healing guilds, because they were trying to bring something back to life, and this is completely forbidden within the elven healer guilds, so they were kicked out, and ever since they have been wandering the world, learning things. They are a bit jaded by their past. They have been making a living as a merchant, selling wares, and they have built up a network of contacts through this work. And one day, Kellen stumbles across Ender, and they hit it off immediately, and they have been together ever since they met. So Ender has been on this quest with Kellen for 2 years, and whatever Kellen kills in the forest, whatever animal he has hunted, then Ender will be the one to sell those wares. So they make a great couple. They are very loyal to each other. It is very much like a ride or die situation. They are together until the end. Also, Ender is non-binary, hence the use of they them pronouns, but Kellen is a cis man using he him pronouns. So those are my two characters, and I'm kind of loving them. They're adorable to me, and I am really kind of excited that I was able to create this little story for these two characters. It's been a lot of fun. But now onto the TBRs. So I will start with Kellen's Hunter TBR because he was the character I thought of most. So I am trying to do as much of the Hunter path as I can. So for the tools, we had 2 tools that we could use. There was a crossbow or an animal companion, and I've decided to do both. So for the crossbow, the prompt was to have a bow or arrow on the cover, and for that I'm using Other Ever Afters, New Queer Fairy Tales by Melanie Gilman. So this is a mostly sapphic with some other sexualities thrown in, but it's full of fairy tale retellings, and it is a graphic novel. The art in it is very sweet, and I am really looking forward to getting to this. There is a bow up the top there, and this also fits for the buzzword for the month, which is other. And then for Animal Companion, the prompt was an animal on the cover. So for this I chose Of the Wild by E. Wamheim. Am I getting closer to saying that correct? But this is the Queer or Not book club pick for June, which is a book club that I am starting in June. And it is a short little story. It's like 130 pages. It is queer, there is asexual rep, and it is about a fae creature stealing children from unloved homes and raising them in the woods, and something is coming for the magic in the woods. And it sounds great, the cover is beautiful. There is a bat-like creature on the cover, so I'm just going to take that as the animal on the cover. Bats are animals. Then for the skills for the hunter, we have 3 choices, and I'm going to be doing 2 of them. So I will be doing herb gathering and survival. So for herb gathering, the prompt is a book about plants, and for this I'm choosing Authority by Jeff Vandermeer. This is the second in the Southern Reach trilogy, so the first one being Annihilation. I don't know too much about this second book, and I kind of don't want to, because Annihilation was just an interesting experience, but because of Annihilation I can pretty much assume that Authority does have to deal with plants, and I checked with Max, who has read the series, and he said that it counts. And then for survival, the prompt is A Place You've Never Been. And so for this, I'm choosing The Faceless Ones by Derek Landy, because this is set in Ireland. So this is the 3rd of the Skullduggery Pleasant series, and I've been really enjoying my time reading these. It is about a young girl who inherits her uncle's estate and legacy in a way, and through that she meets Skullduggery Pleasant, who is a skeleton detective, and she is then brought into this world of magic, and she becomes a detective along with Skullduggery. They have a really great snarky relationship, and there are some amazing characters in this and amazing storylines as well. I can't tell you much about what's happening here because obviously this is the 3rd in the series, but it's a really great time, and it's set in Ireland, and I've never been to Ireland, so. And then the starting quest for Hunter is featuring the creature you want to hunt. So Kellen is going to hunt a kitsune. So the book I chose for this is Kogitsune by Cha Cha Lake. I'm probably butchering that again, but this is a short story about a kitsune, and it is queer. I believe it's male. It's really hard to say what it's about because it's only about 40 pages, but it's something like coming into your own, but there is a kitsune involved. I really don't know. It's so short, but the cover is great, and it's queer, and it has a kitsune. Like, I'm pretty sold. And then the final quest for Hunter is a book over 600 pages. The book I chose for this is 620? Yeah, exactly 620 pages. And that is Black Leopard Red Wolf by Marlon James. Is this not the most beautiful cover? I love this cover. It's so cool and creepy, and I'm just so intrigued. Now, I have no idea what this is about. Tracker is a hunter. Well, what do you know? Known throughout the 13 kingdoms as one who has a nose, and he always works alone, but he breaks his own rule when hired to find a lost child. He finds himself part of a group of hunters all searching for the same boy. Each of these companions is stronger and more dangerous than the last, from a giant to a witch to a shape-shifting leopard, and each has secrets of their own. I'm gonna leave it at that, because that sounds amazing. Also drawing from African history and mythology, which is awesome. But a group of hunters, that sounds perfect. I've also heard this is queer, so that's another reason why I want to pick it up. But I am definitely looking forward to this and just finding out what it's about. I know there's a lot of mixed reviews on this, but like I'm just so intrigued. So there is my 600+ page book. So then there are a bunch of side quests that I also want to complete. So for the side quest to gather pelts, that is to read a book with fur, claws or antlers on the cover, and for this I will be reading Midwinter Bears by Blaine D. Arden. This is again a really short novella, and it is queer because the main character uses e-air pronouns, which is really cool, and it really is just a bear shifter romance. Then for Explore a New Terrain, that is a book set in the desert, mountains or forest. And for this, I am choosing my most anticipated book of the entire year, which is In the Lives of Puppets by TJ Klune. Look at those edges. This looks like it's set in the woods because there are woods on the cover. So I'm going with like, yeah, a forest setting for this. I don't know too much about this. It's just there are robots, and it's somehow inspired by Pinocchio as well, but it is about a found family. That is really kind of it. Found family, robots, TJ Klune, so it's queer in some way, you know. And just amazingness, I'm sure, and I'm so looking forward to this. Then for the Learn to Hunt and Track, the prompt is a book you found by surprise. Now, for this, I'm going with a book I found at an op shop, so I randomly found it then, and also a book I didn't plan on reading. So this book was actually on my maybe pile from my curating my shelves video series. So I wasn't really planning on reading it, I was planning on just letting it go. But Katie from Katie Colson has done a Patreon readathon happening in June where she's matched up some of her patrons, and then we kind of decide between the partners of like what we want to do, if you want to recommend a new book to someone or if you want to read one of the other's favorites. So my partner and I, Lindsay, we've decided to just read a book from the other's favorites list. So Lindsay will be reading Cemetery Boys, which is one of my faves, and I'm really looking forward to hearing what they think about it. And from Lindsay's list, I will be reading To Be Taught If Fortunate by Becky Chambers. I had no idea what this was about, but Lindsay had described it as queer and eerie is like my favorite thing ever. So I don't super understand what this is about, but there are astronauts, they're trying to survive in hostile environments. I don't really know. I don't know how I'm gonna feel about this. We'll see how this goes. I hope I'll enjoy it. And then the last side quest for Hunter is Don't Eat That, or Can You? Which is a book you're not sure if you'll like. And for this I am choosing Aristotle and Dante Dive Into the Waters of the World by Benjamin Alire Sands. This is the sequel to Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe, or something like that. And I'm really not sure if I'm going to enjoy this. I gave the first book like 3 stars, and I really was kind of about the whole thing, but then the sequel came out and I was like, well, I'll read it just to complete a series, and that's honestly the only reason I'm reading it. And I have actually even put in a sticky note to let me know that if I read this much of the book, I can DNF it and count it for Adventurerathon. So that tells you kind of where I'm leaning with this. I don't think I'll enjoy it, but I'll give it a go and we'll see. I don't know what it's about, but it's following Aristotle and Dante again. They are 2 queer Latinx boys. The last one was set in like the 80s. I don't know when this one is set. We'll see how this goes. So that is all for the Hunter path. Now on to Endar's path of the Merchant. I have decided that I'm not doing as many prompts. I was just going to do the basic 4, but then turns out I could also do 2 of the side quests. So we'll stick with that. So the tool for Merchant that I'm going to go for is Caravan, which is a store on the cover. And Kirsty said it didn't have to be the outside of a store, it could be inside a store. So I'm going with that, and I'm going to read Cursed Cocktails by S.L. Rowland. This honestly sounds like Legends and Lattes. There is a fantasy creature who wants to open a store. So they do. It sounds cozy and I will see if I like it. It is also queer, which is great, but I didn't super love Legends and Lattes, so we'll see how I fare with this one. And then for skills, Enda will actually be doing 2 skills. So the first one is general goods, and that is to read a non-fiction, and for that I have Through Thick and Thin by Gok Wan. This is an autobiography. Now Gok Wan was like a presenter for so many shows back when I was like a preteen, and I was just living for everything that he was. So when I saw this in a bookstore, I bought it. It'll be a time, but the writing is really big, so that should help with that. But I am interested in this autobiography, so I'll give this a go. And then the second skill that Enda will be doing is Jewel Crafter, and the prompt for that is a shiny book. Now for this I've chosen Star-Crossed by Ali Theron, which is the second book in the Magic in Manhattan series. This is a queer historical fantasy series set in the 1920s in New York, and it follows Rory, who can touch an object and see its past. And then we also have Ace, who doesn't have any kind of paranormal powers, but he wants to help all of the, what do they call it, parapsychics or something they call it. But he wants to help all of these people, and they are trying to stop some potentially evil people from getting a hold of some really, really important magical items. Now, I don't know what the second book in the series is about, but I'm really keen to continue on with this series because it's got some cool aspects to it, like the 1920s. That's one of my favorite eras to read about, and it's queer, which I love. We have some found family going on, and I really love Rory's power of being able to look into the past of an object. I think that's really interesting, and there's like a bit of kind of gold on the cover, so that counts for shiny. And then the starting quest for Merchant is a book that features your dream job. Now for this, I chose The Grown Up by Gillian Flynn because our main character in this is a psychic, and that's very much in vein with what I would really love to do. I have been trained to do some energetic healing and tarot and oracle card readings, and I did a few oracle card readings for people that were watching my Final Book support group sprints, and it was a really fun time and everyone seemed to really enjoy it, so that really, that made me feel great, and that is kind of something I would love to do. So because this main character is a psychic, it's pretty much what I want to do, so we'll go with that. And this is again really, really short. It's like 63 pages or something. It's about this psychic who, this psychic is faking it, but whatever. She goes to this house that is apparently haunted and tries and helps people, but things might go wrong. There's really not much you can say when books are really short, but I'm really interested to read this, and this is also a book that is on my 30 before 30 list, so I need to get some of those read before I turn 30 in the beginning of July. And then the final quest for Merchant is set in a cafe or store. This kind of works perfectly with the group book for the Queer Lit Readathon, because that is Fina by Nino Cipri, because this is basically a book that's set in a version of IKEA, and there are portals to different dimensions in this fake IKEA, and 2 workers have to go and help someone that has fallen into one of these portals, I think. But it is also queer, which is great, obviously, and again, super short. I'm really intrigued to read this. I've wanted to read it for ages, and I know Sasha loves it, so I'm extra keen to read it. And set in a store. It was perfect. And then there are 2 skills that I was able to get to for Merchant. So the first is to create your first product. So that is to read the first book in a series. And for this, I'm going with The Way of the House Husband by Kosuke Ono. But this is a manga, and people have been wanting me to read this. It apparently sounds like things that I'm interested in. I don't know what it's about, but it's kind of like an ex-yakuza is being a house husband? I'm not sure, but he's just buying lots of groceries now. I'm not sure what this is going to be, but I'm interested, and this is volume 1, so it's starting a series. And then the last side quest that I'll be doing for Merchant is to promote your business, which is to read a book that is advertised everywhere. Now, this book is kind of heavily advertised. When I posted my June TBR gate, this book was on there, and almost every comment I got on that video was about this book. So I'm taking that for really, really hyped. So that is A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. I don't know too much about this except it's going to be heartbreaking. And apparently this kid dreams of monsters, but the monster outside his window wants something from him, and what the monster wants is the truth. Apparently it's going to destroy me, and everyone is really keen to see that happen. So thanks, guys. But I am really interested to read this. Again, this is on my 30 before 30 list, and I'm really interested to read it, see what all the fuss is about, and then maybe watch the movie. But yes, those are my TBRs for my character Kellen, who is a hunter, and Ender, who is a merchant. And I'm really looking forward to Adventurerathon. I can't wait. It's going to be awesome. I'm really excited for the cosplay and for the scavenger hunt, and to just be on the Discord and talking to a bunch of people about these characters. And I'm just so happy that Kirsty has done this, and just everyone go and support her. She's amazing and I adore her. Have fun adventuring in June, because I know I will. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.